Yes, I'm Andrew Ledford, and today we are in December. This is the end of the year and almost the beginning of a new year. And I kind of retired my coffee time with Andrew, but I'm thinking about a new program. I was going to start doing them at the park and just doing casual conversations where I walked around, but the park did not want me doing video at their location. So I'm back to just kind of sitting here. I have had an interesting year. I have started moving forward on some of the projects that I've been working on for a couple years. So that's kind of cool, and I plan on developing them more and more next year. And in particular, I'm thinking about public speaking. And as you've watched me over the years go through different drills, develop different systems, different practice methods for speaking, I'm now starting a program where I'm teaching other people how to do that very same thing. And I think we're going to be starting off with a pet facilitated emotional homeostasis program. So that will be using dogs to regulate the emotions that people have when they are talking in front of a group, at least in the beginning. And as it advances, we will incorporate the dogs in new and novel ways. So that is something that I have been working on for a month or two, actually consolidating the notes I've made over the last 3 years or so, thinking about how all this is going to work together. So that is the main thing I have been thinking about recently. What I have found is that most of the groups I go out to either they don't want to learn to do public speaking, they don't have a dog, or they already think that they're experts at public speaking. So I think that because it's kind of a hybrid, it is a hybrid and fairly novel approach, that it will require a bit of pre-framing, actually getting out there and talking to people, more education. That's what it's going to take. Educating people about how they can actually get over their fear with the use of animal assisted emotional homeostasis. So, I was chatting with a gal at a United Way meeting, and she was telling me about how her son was having really struggling with reading. And she took her son to a reading program, a Read with Dogs program, and he just blossomed after that. No problem with reading after a couple trips to the library with the Read with Dogs program. So that was quite inspiring, and I feel it's going to be the same sort of thing with speaking. It's just that we're dealing with adults and not children. And there's quite a bit of research that indicates the dog does lower stress hormones, increases oxytocin, and also people just seem to feel more comfortable about with their dog. I plan on using a different type of training program that would or program the training program that's different than like rhetorical training or teaching people to do the traditional type of public speaking. Of course, I'm going to do things a little bit different, but this is more natural. It will incorporate the person's procedural memory as well as their semantic memory. So, and there's also, we're going to be using somatics. So I call it somatic mindfulness, basically. That is what I've been thinking about and working on recently. I've been out doing a lot of networking. So if you live in the local area, 562-714, there's a good chance you're going to meet me out there. Still looking for people to be on the public access TV show. In fact, if people are open to it, students are in the learn to get over your fear of public speaking. If they want to, I would be open to doing a show around that and giving them exposure on video that's seen by more than just a handful of people, which can be useful in itself. There's one presentation talk I do where I mention a manager that I work with in a part-time job I have. And that's a very important part to this whole thing, is that part-time job, because it lets me see how offices work and how managers work and how they can improve by using a behavioral approach. But one of the things I talk about there is the guy's pretty good talking in front of people, but not so good in front of a camera. So this is just another skill. So communication's multifaceted. It could be better communication on one-on-one. It could be better communication to a group, which is really what I want to focus on. Better communication on camera, which is another area that I'm interested in. I've worked on camera so much that, on and off for years, that to me that doesn't seem like such a big deal, but for some people it is. So that is another area. And then presentations. How do you make a boring company presentation a little interesting so that people remember what you said instead of just number, 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 number? This is number, 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 and blah, 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 which is very boring and hard to remember. It's better to make it a little interesting, throw a little narrative in there. In fact, I'm calling it the method is going to be change strategy, nonverbal influence, or actually change strategy, acceptance and adaptability, nonverbal influence, instructional design, narrative communication, and emotional homeostasis. So this is what we're going to be going over in the training program. And I think it's pretty well rounded. It kind of touches on everything. Everything that we experience personally, and also things that are incorporated into our work life, our businesses. Well, I believe that's going to about do it for today. So, unless something else comes to mind, I'm probably going to be doing these more often, this type of video again, now that I have been banned from the park. So, as always, I am wishing you the very best in life. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.